Hello, hello! Welcome to a new episode of The German playing Anno 2205. It's kind of weird. I almost find no tutorials for that game in English. Tons of it in German, but no in English. So I thought, why not a quick video about the latest DLC that thankfully has now been given for free to anyone who was owning the Season Pass. What it brings, how it looks like, and as well as a couple of startup tips for what happens when you start a new company. So I'm starting off with one of my old save games to show what is actually coming on the horizon.
The Arctic Custodian Committee.
The first thing, as we notice, is that my entire economy is currently in the shit. The reason for that is one of the expansional parts is linking the revenue to the satisfaction of the employees. So if you lack to supply your employees with all of the goods required, you have less revenue. What's worse about it is they actually increase the amount of consumption they have, from spares, meager, to plenty and all the stuff. So it makes it a bit harder. Now, is there a way to compensate it? Usually you would use tech tree from the Orbit DLC, which would allow you to reduce the amount of requirements, like this one here, 15% reduction of consumption of goods. But that doesn't help you a lot if you play on the higher difficulties. Even if you max out the tree, which is a cap at 1200 expertise, you can't compensate for the increased challenge given. Of course, you could use the Tundra, which will allow you to produce two different items that will double the output of any factory without increasing the resources you need to produce a good. No, it would not even increase the energy consumption, but it would increase the maintenance costs, and as I said, it will double the output. But even with those things, it will still be tough to satisfy the needs. So those gigantic corporations with 2.5 million plus will be very, very tense. I mean, at least you can do it, but the downside will be you can't have nice looking places. All your places gonna look like very mathematical squares. All the grid layouts will be very min-maxed. So it's not gonna be as great and as free as it is right now. To offset that, they gave two new sectors. As you can see, those two new sectors, and well, the third one. So two temperate and one Arctic one. As you can see, they are islands. Yes, you have to colonize every single one of them. And that will be 1.5 million at the end, plus some rare resources and more to colonize all of those ones. I mean, you can get very lucky. Like on that one sector here, I have increased production of wine. It's great. You're gonna need it. Arctic as well, since Arctic places are always scarce. Some of the resources you require, we're not talking about quantum computers, I'm talking about those buggers here. They are painful, how much more you will need. So anyway, so let's make the comparison about what you won't be seeing very much. Places that look a bit organic or have lots of space to waste. Just like one of the cities here, you can forget about having the luxury of just making the place look nice. Forget it. You will need to maximize those spaces just to satisfy the needs of the employees. Okay. Anyway.
Attention.
Yes, I know everything is short right now. So let's zoom out and go to another corporation I just started for that example. Yes, the spelling mistake is on purpose, of course. Duplicates. That is highest difficulty.
Fall under the supervision of the Arctic Custodian.
I just started that as a new save game. To illustrate what happens while you get to finish off this, the first part of the tutorial. Getting a 1,000 what do you call them? 1,000 operators in order to start the elevator, do the first combat mission, and then to actually start the game. My suggestion on this one is customizing your difficulty. If you still want to keep it hard, it's cool. Make sure that you can do something. It's called move. it's lovely. You can use it with fee, without the fee, that's grand. Just make sure that you have it in order for you to make your place look nice. I mean, it's often enough you just want to change left and right just a bit, and it pains if you can't do that. At the end, you're gonna spend 50 hours on a safe game. You want to make it look nice, at least for your flybys. I do at least. Okay, and another thing that is considered cheating by the hardcore players: when you turn off a building, it produces nothing. I mean, it consumes nothing. It's a bit of cheating, considered that the hardcore option means 50% you still need to invest in people, electricity and money, but yeah, why not? Anything else I'm playing on the hardest possible, including frequent deadly invasions. That's one of the features. You actually have to position your fleet inside your area, because you will get attacked. Plentiful. So, and those attacks, they rock your boat. Just saying. Okay, base layout, what I usually go for, obviously I'm starting in that area since I really like that area. I'm using single houses, which at the beginning is the only thing you can buy or build. 2 rows, that's like 2 rows spare. You can see it's basically 2 rows, 2 streets fitting in here. The reason for that is, at the beginning I said you can only build the small ones, which suck. You want to build those ones. It's a bit more, you know, you can keep them, they're bit better than the small ones. They save you that one road in between. Technically speaking, I could move them over, but it's more space efficient to use the small ones. So what we're going to do is, you build those ones, and as soon as you can build with 400, 200, 400, 250 operators, then you can build those ones. What we do is, we remove them. We remove the roads. And then we can place those ones. Another nice way, fitting in the grid, is you can do that with the infodrome. The infodrome is required in order to make your population happy. So what we're going to do is fit them in. That's the best space you can do that. It's one of the recommended builds most people are using. So in that case, the same thing as you can do is you can put a police station in there. You remove 4, you put a police station in, and you satisfy the entire grid. That's pretty much it. Otherwise, a nice little trick is as well. Right now you can see I would not have enough operators to suffice the first quest. So what I do is, I'm creating a lot of vitamin drinks, not using them, and then just in order to get to the quest requirement, I'm enabling or disabling the consumption of those goods. It's a bit tricky. I mean, cheating, but as you can see, you skyrocket up to 1000, and then they realize that you actually don't have enough of them, and you fall below. But you don't care. You just want to pump it up to get money bonus, resource bonus, finish the quest, and then you do the first mission. The rest of the game, you can already see the rest of the game. Basically, what will happen is once you didn't land the quest, you got iridium and you got graphene, which allows you to knock down those ones. You can create them. You can build those, which will satisfy the need easily. So, population saved, energy saved, insane. Well, something you will see now quite often in your builds, you have to use storage depots, because the additional employee costs, money costs, and electricity costs of a transport center is insane. At the beginning you wouldn't care about it and other difficulties, but here you will use them. You will at least try to remove it down to 1, not above 2. And the other thing, the most dominant module to be used is workforce maintenance. You really want to remove that. So they don't have enough modules right now by the looks of it. Polymer is missing. Another nice thing you can do is, again,
My prices are so
cheating
low,
by the hardcore
even
players,
I don't know how
you make it, what do you call it? Offers are more plentiful, the refresh is quicker, and the prices are better. So
Always a
it's something you could do. It makes your life a bit easier. Yes, I know it's cheating, it's not the hardest possible routes, but Anyway, the game is not always about playing it on the hardest level, you still want to have some fun. If you just want to go for competition and show off on some rankings, well, you can, but you're always going to lose against somebody who's better. You can still compete. Anyway, that's at least for the basic rules. Focus on simple grids. Only build as much as you need. One of the tricky parts is of even getting that far. You only build a grid. You make sure that you have enough food and water. You balance it out, and then you build the next grid, and the next grid, and then again always balancing out. It's like agile management. One and then the other. What you don't want to do is pulling up the entire grid with 50 buildings, upgrading them all to operators, and then you're pretty much fucked. For a simple reason, you will lack all of a sudden the workforce to maintain your buildings, because the operators have requirements will make them dissatisfied. They won't even work. So basically, you upgrade. You think like, oh great, I'm gonna have more people. Yeah, no, you're gonna lose at the beginning. You're gonna lose some of your workforce. You have less than you have had before. Right now, let me speed up the game a bit. But that's usually what you see in the end. You will lose people when you upgrade. At least when you say we also assume that you fail to deliver the vitamin drinks that you're supposed to. Currently I still have, that's why it doesn't float. But you will see that you will lack employees very quickly. So only upgrade once you satisfy the base needs. That's a basic rule. And I know always been, but now with an added difficulty, which is great, it's essential. And we have to revert back to it. Otherwise, only keep buildings running that you absolutely need. Don't let them running just because. Another nice thing you can do is early on transfer routes, stuff that you want to get rid of. You don't need that many constructor bots. Basically, at the beginning you build them, you get that far, you build a bridge, you build another bridge, but then as soon as you go to the Arctic sector, you sell off whatever you have here, just to generate more income, because in the Arctic sector everything will be twice as expensive, because you need so many more resources. Not even speaking about the moon. One of the save games I tried with the new difficulties, forget about the moon before you level 20 plus. Simply because you want to max out the population that you have on the starting sector, then you want to satisfy the base needs on the first sector in the Arctic. I wouldn't even go to the tundra, because tundra just costs money. It does bring you some of those resources to increase productivity, but by the time you have access to those ones, the tundra will cost you so much money that one single area in a temperate area won't be even able to pay for it, because you also have the Arctic at the same space, because the Arctic has to support the tundra. So if you manage to get your hands at level 21, 22, if you do the trick, you get quickly a secondary temperate area from the competitors and you build them up ground. With 2 temperate areas you do have enough money to get the tundra and or the moon, one area. Otherwise you could activate the other stock market DLC. You could. But at level 20, where your competitors are 20 to 30, they have way more money than you. They will just pester you with they trying to buy your company, and you won't even have enough money to compete against them in order to acquire their shares. Why would you want to have their shares? Well, with the added difficulty, there is relation between, or correlation, better say, between the you gain a benefit, or benefit that you gain from owning the share of a competitor is larger than it was before. So let's say you would acquire all of the give me a name quickly.
This is where the course of the world
let's say you would get Taichung, Meitan, Laisheng. Sorry, I played too much physics. If you get Laisheng's shares, you produce more energy. The more shares you have, the higher the bonus on the energy production you have. I mean, not just talking about owning or dominating the entire industry in order to get unlimited modules, which you have once you have all 10 shares. We are just referring to. I'm just referring to having a benefit of more heavy industry, which will add to the bonus you get from your orbital station and to the tundra. With all of that combined, you get there. You can customize higher difficulty and still maintain the greatest benefit of owning all the shares. That's possible. You still have all the other things to suffer through. It's just to basically imagine you want to play on the highest difficulty for whatever reason, but you do want to have a high-end game where you have plenty of high-level cities. Yeah, you want to combine Tundra, Orbit, and the share market bonuses in order to get the maximum out of that game. To still be able to maximize those 3 early settlements, use the Madrigal Islands and the Green Tide Islands just to create the product needed to maximize those 3-4 temperate areas. Well, most likely you're gonna have to scrap on the on Cape Amber. That's an island area. You can build it up, but not as effective as you could do the Wild Water Bay or the Viridian Coves, which are still the 2 biggest possible areas you can pump up. Walrook Basin is nice, but again, island style, so it's those 2 basically maximize start in either one of them, or starting areas. There's a bonus they added 2 expansions ago. Those ones, you basically get a mild bonus, which you can re-roll in case you don't like it. Costs some stuff. They don't cost like $1 million or half a million. You get different bonus like production rate of all farms 10%, 30% more wine, and then a drawback, 30% more rice farms, and a drawback, 20% or 30% more, 10% more production of all coastal facilities, electricity plants, water, algae, those kind of benefits. There are plentiful of them to be had. Reroll as often as you want, counts for all areas, including Arctic. So there's some good things. What I like to do is one of the areas that I don't fancy putting huge population on it, preferably one with a lot of mining sites, for cobalt, because cobalt you're gonna need in order to pump up the tundra in order to get the materials for the heavy industry. So to get just as a mining facility the entire area, because it's like 50% more production or 30% more production, 50% more less energy. That was something makes it benefit. So that's about the benefits there. Technical troubleshooting, I've heard a couple of people having issues, including myself, with the world market often have been offline. It's server-wide issues on their side sometimes, otherwise it could be firewall settings. Make sure that the game is passing through your firewall. There are some tips on the Steam forum and on Reddit covering that subject. It's usually the standard tip. Alright, then have fun.